making excuses. It sounds like she not really trying to address why Caitlin Clark wasn't involved, why she's not starting her. All of this stuff, it is absolute insanity. I don't understand what's going on. I'm tired of the excuses. I don't want to hear it.
The fans are done. And when we say done, we don't mean frustrated. We don't mean mildly disappointed. We mean completely, collectively, and loudly finished with Kara Lawson as the head coach of Team USA Women's Basketball. Across every platform where sports conversation happens, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Reddit, Sports Talk Radio, the message was identical and it was unified. Remove her, not restructure the rotation, not hold a review. Remove her.
Hello, hey, Coach Lawson. Yo, yeah, you remember that lineup you put out there with Caitlin and K-Cop and Angel? You remember that lineup? De'Erica Hamby? Yeah, let's not do that lineup again. You know, we saw it in the first quarter. It was abysmal work going on there. I mean, it was slow offense. The ball wasn't moving around. I think after the first quarter, we should have just moved on from it. You know, let's not do that again. I understand you might be trying different lineups, but man, we were confused in the chat. We were confused in the live. It was abysmal work. I mean, we were perplexed. Hello? Oh, well, she done hung up.
And what makes this story so extraordinary, what separates it from every standard coaching controversy, is that none of this happened after a loss. There was no collapse, no embarrassing elimination. Team USA was winning. Caitlin Clark was off the bench, breaking FIBA world records, leading the entire tournament field in plus-minus. And the fans were still in the comment sections calling for Lawson's head.
That's another boring game made worse. You know, not starting CC again. It's like when full retard goes full retard. How about this one? Someone make me understand why Chelsea Gray has started all 5 games, please. No shit. No shit. What did she do today? I mean, she did have 8 points and 4 assists. My goodness. Okay. Great. I mean, come on. Absolute insanity. We ain't serious. I hope we lose. Wow.
That tells you everything. The frustration wasn't about wins and losses. It was about something larger. It was about watching the single most valuable, most watched, most commercially powerful player in women's basketball today being managed down into a system that wasn't built for her. While the entire sport sat there watching and asking one simple question. Why? Wait, don't scroll, hit subscribe or you'll miss this story.
The US is already qualified for the World Cup, so my question is, what are you trying to accomplish? What are you trying to take out of this tournament, knowing that perhaps you're already in the World Cup?
This tournament is our only chance before the World Cup to have games against other national teams. We can have training before then, but not games, actual FIBA games in an environment and play multiple national teams. So it's a very valuable couple weeks for us. And it's also a chance. We have so many players making their national team debut.
Let's establish exactly who Kara Lawson is and what she was working with, because the context matters. Kara Lawson is not a one-role figure. She is the head coach of Duke University's women's basketball program, one of the most demanding positions in college sports, and simultaneously announced in September 2025. She was appointed as the head coach of the United States women's national basketball team through the 2028 Olympic Games in Los Angeles. 2 of the highest-profile coaching roles in women's basketball, held at the same time, by one person. When that appointment was made, there were already eyebrows raised across the sport.
From the outside looking in, and I just hate to even put this narrative out there, what I seen today looks very similar to what the Indiana Fever run with Stephanie White. Is Stephanie White subliminally sabotaging her own damn player? Because that's what it's starting to look like to me. Now, I could be wrong. Now, Caitlin Clark ain't gonna complain. She ain't gonna say nothing. She gonna go out there and do her job, which that's what she is supposed to do.
Critics pointed out that while Lawson had done solid work at Duke, including an Elite Eight appearance in 2025, her credentials simply did not match the legendary coaches who had led Team USA before her. Names like Dawn Staley, Gino Auriemma, Tara Van Der Veer, these were coaches who had built dynasties. And Kara Lawson, whatever her merits, was being handed the most talent-rich, commercially significant roster in Team USA history. At the exact moment that women's basketball was experiencing its most explosive growth period ever. That context matters, because what she chose to do with it, specifically what she chose to do with Caitlin Clark, became the defining story of the entire tournament.
And when they did let her play, much of this game, she played once again out of position at small forward. There was a couple of times she was at point, but for the most part, no. And somebody please let me know why Chelsea Gray, that's another boring game made worse. Not starting CC again. It's like when full retard goes full retard. How about this one? Someone make me understand why Chelsea Gray has started all 5 games, please. No shit. No shit. What did she do today?
The decision that broke everything open was this. Lawson did not start Caitlin Clark in Game 1. She did not start her in Game 2. She did not start her in Game 3. 3 straight games, 3 consecutive opportunities. And the most popular player in women's basketball warmed the bench while the starting lineup was handed to veterans. Chelsea Gray, who received a starting role across multiple games, is a legitimate player, a champion. Nobody disputes her career. But what fans could not get past was this. Chelsea Gray was starting ahead of a player who was, by every measurable standard, performing at a higher level every single time she touched the floor. Lawson's public explanation was that she was in fact-finding mode, that starting lineups would rotate, that the tournament was about testing combinations. That is a coach's prerogative, and on the surface it sounds reasonable. Except here is the problem with that explanation. The facts were not ambiguous. The facts were screaming. And for 3 straight games, Lawson found the facts and put them on the bench anyway.
Caitlin Clark from deep. Let's check it out. Right here. And she's going to come around the side, way downtown. Boom. Knocked it in. I mean, absolutely beautiful stuff. Here we go. This is our first 3 right here. You got Kelsey Plum over to Monique Billings, over to Caitlin Clark. Boom. Right there with the little kiss off the glass. Absolutely.
Because here is what those facts looked like. Game 1, Senegal, March 11th. Caitlin Clark had not played competitive basketball in 239 days, coming off a groin injury. The skeptics were already building the narrative. She is rusty. She needs time. She is going to take a few games to find herself. She walked onto the court with over 5 minutes left in the first quarter, coming off the bench. And on her literal first offensive possession in a Team USA jersey, first one, she ran a pick-and-roll with Monique Billings and delivered a pocket pass so precise, so perfectly weighted, that it looked like something out of a practice drill. Not a cautious reintroduction, a precision statement. By the time that game was over, she had 17 points, 12 assists, and 4 three-pointers in just 20 minutes. She personally accounted for 38 points, nearly as many as the entire Senegal team scored together. And those 12 assists, second most in Women's World Cup qualifying history for a single game. In her debut, coming off the bench, after 239 days away from competitive basketball, the coaching staff looked at all of that and said, still not starting. That tells you what kind of institutional resistance was operating here.
Listen, man, she talking about, with the ball movement was great and all that. Hell no, it wasn't. Kalia Copper don't pass to nobody. Kalia Copper might not pass to herself because it has to leave her hands in order to come back to herself, okay? Chelsea Gray being a starter over Caitlin Clark is absolutely ridiculous. At this point, Ray Burrell is going to enter the starting lineup before Caitlin Clark. I think it is absolutely ridiculous and disgusting. We got to get into this.
The backlash started building immediately. But after Game 3 against Italy, A game where Clark hit a logo three with 5 seconds left in the first quarter that FIBA themselves called poetry in motion, where Spain's national team was sitting. In the stands, and cameras caught them literally scouting her like a threat assessment while she was coming off the bench. The backlash became a full-scale storm. Sports talk shows were dissecting the lineup decisions daily. Stephen A. Smith, who had become one of the most vocal champions of the Caitlin Clark effect, was putting the question on blast across every platform he occupied. Podcasts were running numbers. Analysts were pulling the plus-minus data and presenting it as if they were reading a crime report. And the data really did read like one. When Clark was on the floor against Italy, Team USA outscored their opponent by 27 points. When she sat, that number dropped significantly. Her plus-minus for the entire tournament led every single player, not just on Team USA, but from every nation that participated. Every country, every player, and she was coming off the bench. The numbers were not asking a question. They were delivering a verdict, and the coaching staff kept appealing it.
Some people are just fucking difference makers, and we gotta accept that. Stop trying to deny the fact that some people are just difference makers. They impact the game differently than anybody else. Struggling against Team Italy, Caitlin Clark is put in the game because she's still not starting. Everybody else has got a crack at starting, but Caitlin Clark not starting. She comes in the game, and immediately things get to flowing. You go on like a 20-3 run, the game turns. And when she's in the game, her impact is felt around with everybody. Everything frees up. Everything becomes a little bit more easy. The pace of the game picks up. Everything is flowing and going.
Yes, and the fans made absolutely sure that verdict was heard. Twitter was in open warfare. Comment sections on Team USA's official posts had turned from celebration hubs into public accountability sessions. Why is Caitlin Clark not starting? Not taking away from these girls, but I'm tuning in to see her specifically. You guys are terrible. That was one fan, not a fringe voice. A representative one. Let us know when they put CC in and we'll tune in. Another. Is CC in the doghouse? How is Chelsea Gray starting for the third time? Another. The volume was relentless. Boycott threats were appearing in comment sections. Fans who came specifically because of Clark were openly announcing they had stopped watching. And this is where the story stops being just about basketball and starts being about something with much bigger financial implications. Because Caitlin Clark does not just play basketball. She drives an entire economic ecosystem. Television ratings, arena attendance, merchandise, sponsorship activations. Viral content that reaches audiences who would otherwise never interact with women's basketball. The Fever's TV ratings dropped roughly 55% during stretches she wasn't available in the regular season. Her projected economic impact in 2025 alone was estimated at over $1 billion. And now the coach assigned to manage her most watched international tournament appearance was putting her on the bench. And the audience was responding exactly the way you would expect.
Thank God these starting lineups don't matter, because, my God, they do. We're in the qualifying round, folks. I mean, come on. Seriously. So stupid. Why the hell would you not start Caitlin Clark? It's crap. I mean, yeah, seriously. I just turned the channel. Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, Angel Reese not in the starting lineup. I don't know what you would have seen out of Angel that made you think she ought to. I mean, 4 points today. And she missed at least 3 rebounds. I mean, seriously. Seems like they still are suppressing Caitlin Clark. Afraid she'll hog all the limelight. Not wrong.
And then the story escalated to a level that nobody fully anticipated. According to leaked documents from what multiple sources described as an emergency boardroom meeting, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver personally intervened to end Kara Lawson's tenure as Team USA head coach. Silver, whose influence over USA basketball operations carries significant institutional weight, and who has been one of the most vocal advocates for the commercial growth of women's basketball, reportedly raised formal concerns about Lawson's lineup philosophy and its impact on the league's most critical growth asset. The leaked boardroom documents described a meeting in which senior officials assembled in an emergency capacity. The specific agenda: Fan backlash, viewership trajectory, declining engagement, and the broader institutional consequences of systematically limiting the player, whose commercial power was the foundation of every optimistic projection the league had been building its future on. The meeting, according to those documents, did not result in ambiguity. The conclusion was direct. Kara Lawson would not continue as Team USA head coach. And the language reportedly used in that meeting, the specific phrase that made it into the document and then into the public conversation, was 4 words that summarized an entire tournament's worth of mismanagement. Clark was being managed, not unleashed. Not unleashed. Think about what that phrase means when applied to a player who, while being managed, was still posting those numbers. When assistant coach Nate Tibbetts took over the team after Lawson departed to return to Duke's coaching duties, the first thing he did was restructure the offense around Clark's playmaking. He built the lineup around her reads, let her push pace, let her make the decisions in real time, and the offense that had looked stagnant and broken in earlier moments suddenly came alive with clarity. Game 4 against New Zealand, Clark starts for the first time. Final score 101-46. Her line in 23 minutes, 14 points, 6 assists, 2 steals, 6 of 11 from the field, 2 3-pointers, 0 turnovers. And when she recorded her 4th assist of that game, she officially surpassed Chelsea Gray to set the record for most assists by a USA player in a single FIBA World Cup qualifying tournament. 25 total assists, with 1 game still remaining. Gray's record had stood since 2020. Clark broke it in 4 games, 3 of which she spent on the bench. That is not a coincidence. That is a point guard running a system that reveals everyone else's ceiling when she is finally given the floor to run it on. Wait, don't scroll, hit subscribe or you'll miss this story.
Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up. Say her name. MVP Clark, ladies and gentlemen. The most points, the best efficiency, the best plus minus. Say her name, haters. MVP Clark, ladies and gentlemen. They know what's coming. They know the accolades is about to start stacking up. They know Clark about to start taking over the league. Clark playing on Team USA with some of the best players in the league. All these players, they say better than Clark. And guess who got MVP? Say her name, ladies and gentlemen.
And then she won MVP. That is the sentence that this entire story has been building toward. After everything, the bench role, the rotation philosophy, the veteran-first lineup decisions, the coaching structure that prioritized a rigid system over unleashing the most dynamic talent in the sport, Caitlin Clark walked out of that tournament with the Most Valuable Player award. Not as a consolation, not as a surprise, as the only logical conclusion to every stat sheet, every plus-minus calculation, every record that got shattered along the way. The tournament that was supposed to be about integration and team chemistry ended with Caitlin Clark winning MVP. The coach who benched her is now gone. The system that was built around containing her has been replaced by one built around releasing her. And the player herself, through all of it, never cracked. Not publicly, not once. She did not stand in front of a camera and demand a starting spot. She did not make pointed comments about the rotation. She did not give the media the drama they were clearly fishing for in every post-game press conference. She redirected. She stayed calm. She let the math build its own case. And then she walked up and accepted the award it earned her.
She's not even full speed. She's not even full speed. She was sick. I was there. She had her little tissues and blowing her nose throughout the whole time. Hand sanitizers every single time out. She was not even full speed. Not even in her final form. And she still wound up with MVP. And she didn't start majority of the games. Out of the 5 games, she only started 1 time. Yes, she is her, guys. She is her. I think she deserves it. She deserves it overall. She had the well-rounded game out of everybody. So, and she played some solid defense today. If you actually watched her, she played some solid defense, got a block, got a steal, made points off of turnovers.
That professionalism is the part of this story that deserves its own chapter. Because it is not easy. Watching a player with Clark's profile, the most talked about athlete in women's sports, the person who single-handedly bent the trajectory of the entire WNBA, come off the bench in 3 consecutive games, perform at a historic level, and then sit back down without so much as a raised eyebrow in a press conference. That takes a specific kind of mental discipline that most athletes never develop. She understood something that the coaching decision never seemed to grasp. She did not need to be given a stage. She was the stage, and every time they let her on the floor, that became undeniable. Now Kara Lawson is gone from the Team USA role. And the conversation her removal has forced open is the one that women's basketball has needed to have for years. What does this sport owe its transformational talents? What does it owe the players who do not just compete, but carry the entire commercial and cultural weight of a growing industry on their backs every time they show up? The fans who flooded those comment sections were not just reacting to a starting lineup. They were drawing a line. They were saying, this moment, the Caitlin Clark era, is too important to be mismanaged by a coaching philosophy that was not built to handle it. The records made their case. The boardroom made its decision. The MVP trophy sits exactly where it belongs. And Caitlin Clark, quiet, professional, devastating, has done what she always does. She let the game speak. And the game said everything. Build around her, unleash her, or step aside entirely. Because the era is not asking for permission anymore. It already has the math, it already has the records. And it just proved from the bench, in a tournament designed by a system that did not fully believe in her, that it will win anyway. And just like that, everything changed. What you just witnessed isn't just another game in the WNBA, this is history in the making. Records are breaking, doubts are getting silenced, and the league will never be the same again. But the real question is, what happens next? Because if this shocked you, the next game might completely flip the script, so don't miss it. Hit subscribe, stay locked in, because the WNBA drama is just getting started.